Every day I'm hustling, 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 every day I'm hustling.
Hello and welcome. You are listening to the Hustle Points NBA show. I am your favorite pro 2K gamer boy, Rudy St. Clair, and joining me today is NBA YouTuber MJ2KALLDAY. How you doing today, MJ? Or is that how you would like me to address you as MJ?
Just you can call me like MJ. MJ is good.
All right, MJ it is. You doing all right?
Yeah, just super tired, but doing all right.
Gotcha. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at NBA_Rudy. Or you can tell me I clearly don't know basketball. And MJ, where can the people find you other than your YouTube channel?
Find me on Twitter at MJ2KALLDAY and Instagram at MJ2K_ALLDAY because somehow MJ2KALLDAY was also taken on Instagram, which I have no idea how, but yeah.
Hey, I mean, maybe someone's just waiting for you to send them the DM and offer them a couple $100 for that handle.
I'm good, you
know. Well, so tell me, MJ, how did your basketball fandom first begin? Do you have a single point of origin which you can turn back the clock in your memory to, where you can envision yourself first falling in love with the game of basketball?
When I was growing up, we got a basketball hoop in the driveway, like a lot of kids do, and I think I was like 6, 7. And so me and one of my friends in the neighborhood, we would just kind of play basketball. And then I started watching basketball. And I was watching mainly two teams, the Knicks, because I'm from New York, New Jersey area. So the Knicks kind of were the relevant team. New Jersey Nets, awesome, cool, but Knicks were, the big powerhouse. And then the Lakers. The Lakers really just because of Kobe. So I remember trying to do these like crazy, fadeaway shots like Kobe did, pull-ups and everything. And that's what kind of made me fall in love with the game. Not the dunks, not the crazy handles, just the footwork on the jumpers. It's really weird for, I guess a 7-year-old kid to say that, but that's what made me fall in love with basketball, to be honest.
No, yeah, that's perfectly understandable. Everyone has their own different little intricacies of the game, which they can appreciate more than others. Like I know for me personally, growing up in middle school, I had absolutely no idea how to shoot a jump shot. I mean, my form was more broken than Sean Marion, and so I spent years just kind of fine tuning my jump shot. So now when I watch a game, I always just pay a lot of attention to people's shooting mechanics and things like that. So I can totally relate.
Oh, of course. Hey, Sean Marion was good for a little bit.
Heck yeah.
For a little bit, like just a tiny bit from three. Just, I don't know, maybe 2 seasons, maybe?
Yeah, I think he had some success on the Mavericks and towards the end of his son's days. But, I wasn't super active.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him. With that shot, good for him.
Yeah, so you're from New York, so do you tend to root more for the Knicks or the Nets? I know you said you kind of followed both, but is one strongly preferred over the other?
So I grew up in New Jersey, so I was always following the Nets, with Jason Kidd, Vince Carter, Richard Jefferson days, when I know people think Lob City was in the Clippers, but I would beg differ and say that it was on the Nets with those three. But my main team was definitely the Knicks over the Nets and Knicks and Lakers. It was just because my dad watched more of the Knicks and MSG was just more popping, so that's the reason why.
I gotcha. Makes a lot of sense. Speaking to the limited number of New York basketball fans, which I have, that seems to be the case. Just a lot of people refer to Madison Square Garden as one of the key differentiating factors.
Oh, for sure.
I'm curious. How do you feel about Barclays Center, since it's relatively modern, considering the point of origin of your fandom compared to the origin of the stadium itself? Have you been to Barclays?
Yeah, actually, I go to NYU. I go to this New York University, and for our move-in day, orientation week, we actually went to Barclays. That was our introductory speech. So I've been to Barclays. It's a nice place. I think it's done a lot more good for the community than people realize, because remember, Brooklyn was not that great, and they gentrified it. They made it better. It's a pretty nice place. If you drive through it, now they're really nice houses and everything. So I think Barclays is great, especially with what Jay-Z did and for the hip hop culture. I think that was really good. But MSG is just classic. I think that's the reason why everyone wants to have their best game there. So it's hard to compare the two, but I think Barclays has done good for the culture of the NBA, I would say.
That's interesting. I didn't even realize until very recently that they had that green top.
Oh yeah. It's weird, right?
Yeah, it's definitely
like what is that doing there, right? Out of nowhere, just like, hey, we're just gonna have some random green turf looking top like for basketball. Like what?
Yeah,
it would make sense if you had maybe soccer going on in there, football, something else. But basketball, where there's literally no grass, no relation with green, your team color is not green. I don't know what Jay-Z was thinking. I really don't know what they were thinking, to be honest.
I feel like it's good for the earth somehow, but maybe I just see green and I assume that, and I'm more ignorant than I'd like to believe.
It's good for the earth? Like, what is it? If it's synthetic turf, it's just, oh my God, synthetic turf. It's definitely not giving you any O2. So beats me. Maybe tax. I really don't know. But it looks cool. You know, it's like, it's one of those things where you're like, oh, it's there. It's cool for like 1 second, and you just disregard it. That's it. It's a gimmick, I would say.
Yeah, maybe I just need to do more research into it. I'm sure it has some sort of purpose.
It has to have something, right?
Yeah.
It turns out Barclays Center is just a greenhouse. It's a greenhouse, like warehouse. Like it's just literally just for plants. It was just an undercover basketball arena, but really it was just to raise the most rarest plants. Like, find that article in like 20 years. It's just like how that would be a video. You know how the plants, the rarest plants in the world helped the Nets win a championship. I feel like that would be a weird, quirky title.
Yeah, you could just it'd be a good April Fool's Day video for you for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you done an April Fool's Day video yet? I know you've only ran the channel a couple years.
I don't plan on doing it. I could do something. I might do like a story, like a YouTube story that's April Fool's like type of thing, but a video, like, I don't know, man. It's too much effort, to be honest. Like, I mean, you have to make it look real enough, and then have April Fool's at the end, and that's just a lot of work.
Yeah. I mean, the best pranks take the most work, but I mean, if you're not a prankster at heart, I guess it's just not worth it.
I feel. Yeah, I'm not trying to be a prankster on YouTube, especially after the algorithm killed the pranksters off. I'm trying not to be a prankster. You know, I don't want my channel to die really quick. You know, like.
Right. Yeah. For sure. So let's talk about your channel a little bit. How did you first make the decision to start an NBA YouTube channel a couple years ago? I see that your oldest viewable video on your channel is titled $2.25 million VC pack opening diamond pull NBA 2K17 pack opening. Was that actually your first NBA
yeah,
YouTube
it's
video?
actually my first. I kept my first video up because it's just funny to look back at it. So that is actually my first video. I started like a lot of guys playing NBA 2K, and the reason why is because of Chris Move. Chris, you know Chris Move, right? Like the OG.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Chris Move, I remember watching him when I was 13, like in middle school, and we had this project of where we had to show an evolution of technology in some ways. So I picked 2K, and I showed I got this whole recording set up with there weren't even Elgatos. I think there was like the HP. I don't even know, poppage. I think something called some weird thing that I don't think is even in existence now. I used that to record 2K gameplay and then stitch it together into a montage for this class. And I was watching Chris Move, and no one knows this, but at 13 years old, I recorded a 2K gameplay of my career, high pitched. Yo, what's up? I don't even know what my voice was, but higher pitched, just stuttering, pausing, madness. I would say it was horrible, but I recorded it with those ear pods that come with the iPhone.
Of course.
Like, yeah, so I used those back when iPhones had a headphone jack. That we have to.
Yeah.
I think when this goes down in history, we'll have to be like, yeah, remember when iPhones had headphone jacks? You could just plug it in. Yeah. So using that was as my device. I recorded one, never edited it, and then just never did anything with it. Fast forward to when I'm 17, so now it's just 2 years ago. I decide, what the heck? Just do it. At this point, it's senior year. I'm in college. There's nothing really going on. Let me just do it. So I got a bunch of my friends. We did a pack opening at the end of 2K, which is probably the worst time to start a gameplay channel for 2K because the game's dead. We opened 2.25 million VC. We pulled in some money together. It was already a tradition at that point to do pack openings together, but this time I decided to record it. And we pulled only like one diamond, spoiler, only one diamond and over 2 million VC. So I had fun doing it. And then I just kind of decided to do more 2K videos from there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I transitioned. You remember the Jimmy Butler trade to the Timberwolves? Man, that's so far ago. The Jimmy Butler trade. When everyone was like, every Bulls fan in existence was, yo, how'd you trade Jimmy Butler? What is going on? You fire Gary Pax. The hashtag fire Pax, everything. All that. I just thought, yo, I don't think it's that bad, to be honest. I think the Bulls might do good with that. They get the 7th pick. They get Zach LaVine, who in my eyes was very similar to a scoring Kobe in terms of just the mentality of just going on scoring. I found that Zach LaVine at least had that. Definitely not the game style, like his style, but just in that mentality. He was already showing some promise of scoring. I was like, hey, and you're going to probably get Lauri Markkanen because I was projected. I was like, that's not too bad. And so I made a video on that, and then that was the video that I think hit 10,000 views. And from there, that propelled me into talking about the NBA. That one video of just having a little bit of success, and I felt like it was kind of fun to make, that pushed me into the NBA YouTube space more than the 2K space.
Right, for sure, because I definitely think they are distinct. 2K videos have a lot more noticeable, specific type of feel to them. They feel like video game YouTube videos.
And also, that's what I've recently been doing more. Like recently in my content, I've been kind of mixing video game feel aspects randomly throughout informational type of content. Mm-hmm. That's what I found the synthesis of recently. But yeah, you definitely, when you're watching an NBA YouTube video, it's a different feel. And also typically it's way more hype. I would say in a 2K video, but that doesn't mean necessarily it's better. It's just more energy, but sometimes you don't need that energy, for a video. Sometimes you need to be more calm, relaxed, and have energy in different parts. But yeah, you can definitely tell a difference when you see 2K gameplay in the background versus real clips.
Yeah, you can look at a guy like Dom 2K's differences in his video style.
Oh yeah, for sure.
His second channel is the laid back gameplay overlay where it's almost like a podcast style, just talking.
Yeah.
Really not a too intricately edited video.
Yeah, his barbershop series, yeah.
Precisely, yeah. It's that difference between a laid back video game style 2K video versus an NBA opinion piece where you got to really sell your point of view and try to make it convincing.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you could say you don't have to research a lot, with a 2K gameplay or even talking about just as the way Dom does it with a barbershop. You don't have to research end on end. You can just kind of spit one on your mind, say, "Oh, I don't know this," and maybe look it up, or "I don't know, what do you guys think?" No, you could do all those things, but you can't do that if you're trying to convince someone. No, they would roast you alive for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, I mean, I read all my comments to this day, mm-hmm. And no matter what points you bring, this always gonna get roasted. No, you could make the most sound argument in the world, which I think I did once when in my video when I talked about why the Lakers are losing without Lonzo Ball, and I made the argument about his defense specifically and how the Lakers dropped from what was it? It was 7th in defense, 27th, and I got all these stats and then all the context and everything, and most, like, I would say 70% of the comments were like, yeah, you actually changed my mind. And 30% were like, yo, he's still Alonzo airball. He can't shoot. And even in my video, I said, yo, I made fun of his shooting. I made fun of the fact that he was shooting 26% from the free throw line. You know how bad you have to be to shoot 26% from the free throw line at one point, like during half the season? I was like, come on. So I made fun of that, but no matter what, people are always going to find a way to be like, oh, nah. It's like they'll mention, yo, Shaq had a better free throw percentage. what type of, all right, cool. Like, I wasn't talking about that, but cool,
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people who come to NBA opinion YouTube videos are kind of younger people coming to sort of borrow sports opinions. Like, I don't want to say it's the majority, but I think that's a very significant fraction, especially with those people who get those sorts of.
For me, my audience is older. I know there's a lot of young people there, and you can't trust your YouTube analytics because everyone like shows that they're older, especially who are younger. They pick older ages, but
right.
I don't know, the conversations that like people be having like are people say, yeah, I've been a fan for like 20 years, and it's like coherent arguments. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if it's like an 8-year-old being like, yo, you're stupid, man. Shaq can shoot better from three than Lonzo. Like, I don't know if this 8-year-old, saying all that. I really don't see that.
Yeah, I mean, your videos do a pretty good style of walking the line between that sort of laid-back energy and that sort of concise, argumentative, convincing energy.
Yeah.
And you don't do anything like hyper-sensational.
Have fun with it. I mean, honestly, you can get bored with your own content, so you kind of spice things up and always try to improve on it in some way. Oh, yeah, that's how I came to that point.
Right. I definitely sort of operate under the same pretense. Like, my little self-goal is to make every episode slightly better than the last in some way, shape, or form.
Of course.
I'll listen to my finished product repeatedly before publishing, just to make sure that it is how I imagine it to be, so to say. Because, when you sit there and edit it and listen to bits and pieces over and over again, it's like a song. It just starts to lose all of its meaning,
Oh, yeah, and it gets mad annoying to hear your voice, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually trying to listen to the Yandi leak on my phone and to, like, go through all, like, the downloaded files on my phone through the VLC app and stuff. And after it played the album, it started playing, like, a voice recording of myself. And I didn't even recognize it at first because it just immediately started blending into the background. I was like, wait, what is this? And I looked, and it was like the first voice recording I had on this phone. I'm like, oh, crap.
Man, no, it's like, bro, people understand. My roommate, he watches my videos. Like, he'll always try to be first, which is so sad because I tell him, like, he's sitting right next to me when I'm clicking making it public. He's sitting next to me. And he still doesn't get first, which I feel so sad for. I'm like, he's right there. And this happens all the time. And I always tell him, yo, can you go to your room and like play the video? Because I don't want to hear it. Like, I just worked on it for maybe like 10, 15, 20 hours. And I just don't want to hear it at this point. So I'm like, yo, can you just go to your room? And he'll look at me and he'll be like, all right, man, I understand. And he'll just like do a sad walk, and I'll be like, bro, I can't take my voice. You can hear all you want in your room, man, as long as I can't hear it. Yo, we could put some headphones on if you want. Like, I just don't want to hear it. And so whenever I hear my voice, like, I'm just like,
That's good that you have that sort of support from your family, though. I think it's pretty I guess funny, or just whatever positive adjective you want to pick.
Yeah.
That your little brother gives you that sort of support, because I feel like
my roommate, not my little brother.
Man, where did I get that twisted up? All right, fine, never mind.
So I live in an apartment in New York City, so it's my roommate. Yeah.
Okay. Well, still, shit. That's even better than having like a little brother. that's actual support that like an adult chooses to make, not just a kid that's attached to you, making just
we're calling adults 18, right? 18 plus. We're calling adults 18 plus here.
Yeah, I think that's the law.
We said full adult is like 21 plus, right? Like, it's like really because what I mean by full adult is you get to be fully an adult when you're 21. You're not really fully an adult when you're 18. You're an adult. You're a young adult when you're 18.
Yeah, it's like, we'll take you to jail.
Yeah, it's like you're 18, but we just want to give you something to make you feel happy. So we'll just let you drive. You know, I think that's a good compromise. We'll just let you drive. We're calling you adult and let you drive. But 21 is really the age when you can go all crazy.
Yeah, it's like that's when you get your booze and your weed in the legal states. 18, it's like, all right, you've been driving for a little while. I think it's time you start voting.
Yeah, it's like, okay, cool. Cool. And the crazy thing is, like, no one really cares about the voting. To be honest, it's like not many people. Like, I would say a minority of people are like, yes, I can vote now. Like,
oh yeah,
when people are 21, it's like, yeah, I can drink. That's real. But voting, no one's screaming like, yeah, I can vote. Like, no,
yeah, just a bunch of poli-sci nerds, which is definitely like less than 20% of the population. So
yeah, yeah. So I'm 20 years old, so I'm still not at the 21 stage yet.
Yeah, so me and you are like the freaking old men in this game here. I feel like most of the people who are making like independent NBA internet content type stuff for like teenagers still, for the most part. Like I know Rusty Buckets just turned 20. Emio is even older than I am. I'm almost 24. But Emio Storyteller, he's in his 30s.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like it's a lot of kids.
I just turned 20 last week.
Yeah, congratulations. Happy birthday. One
Thank
year away from being a full adult.
Yeah, I mean, I still probably, I won't drink, to be honest. Like, I don't have an interest in drinking. Like, I've never drank.
No,
I just don't have an interest. Like, all my friends, we throw parties in my apartment all the time. Like, everyone's drinking. They come in my room because I have like a huge setup in my room. And they drink on my table. They do all that. We drink in my room. I just don't drink.
No, I feel that. I prefer the organic compounds which are inebriated rather than the ones which we brew.
Whatever works with you, you know. I think that's respect that, right? So
just let me be a degenerate in peace. So, so you say your first video to eclipse 10,000 views was one which you covered the NBA news cycle rather than did 2K videos. So would you say that's probably like something which you would have decided to change sooner, or if you could go back and change something, like give your former self a piece of advice regarding your creative career or hobby, however you want to call it, what would that be exactly for you?
I don't necessarily say like immediately change to NBA YouTube, because I think it was important to kind of organically fall in love with it rather than say, yo, do this. Because it wasn't more news based. It was more, I had an opinion about it, and so I wanted to get that opinion out there, which wasn't a popular opinion at the time. So I thought, let me talk about it because I think people could see it this way. Because even to this day, my goal with videos is to get people to like two things: have fun with the video, and have fun, either laugh or learn something and just have fun with whatever I'm presenting. And then two is to look at something in a different way that they previously didn't look at it. For example, it doesn't have to be a stat that opens your eyes. It could be context. For example, you could talk, when I just go back to Lonzo Ball, because I think this was really relevant, was, a lot of people don't realize that LeVar was saying that, Luke Walton kind of slowed down Lonzo's growth. And if you look at that context, you look at, okay, Lonzo was really good in UCLA. Then Lonzo randomly got less aggressive when he came to the Lakers out of nowhere. Like, he was not the same person. Then you look at, from there, then you start looking at the stats and going deeper into when he's plays over 30 minutes a game, he shoots better. When he plays less than 30, he shoots worse. All those things. As long as you can show in some way that, you changed my perception of this player, I'm happy with it. And that's what exactly back then, that's what happened. Jimmy Butler, it was, the trade's not bad. Let me explain why. Because you get Zach LaVine, you get Lauri Markkanen, Chris Dunn's not that great, but you can take him. And that is still my goal to this day. So as a piece of advice, I would probably say more learn the SEO, like search engine optimization, and all the algorithm stuff earlier, because I remember when I was doing 2K, I think I put like 5 tags. I put NBA 2K17, pink diamond pack opening. I think that was like the only tags. So I would say learn that more, because the main the passion will come. Like if you like doing something, you'll naturally kind of gravitate towards it. And once you find that, then it's really about search engine optimization, to be honest.
Right. So it's you wouldn't go back and say like, continue doing everything exactly what you're doing per se, but
No.
you would only change the sort of things which are like a more workish and less
Exactly. Because I think I'm a very firm believer in you should do what you love, right? You shouldn't just do something for the money or the fame. You should do something because you like to do it. And if you like to do it, no matter what you're doing, if you're getting 0 views or if you're getting 1 million views, it's still like you like to do it at the end of the day. So you can take the 0 views, or you could take the low points of it, because YouTube's up and down things. So you could take the low points and then you could ride the high points, right? So I think I wouldn't tell myself anything different, because I like doing 2K and I still like 2K to this day, right? So I wouldn't change that. I would just tell myself more of the business side of things, more of the nitty gritty details.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how did you go about teaching yourself about SEO and things like changing the metadata and whatnot like that? I know for me, it's a lot more like a trial and error sort of thing. Less like take some masterclass for 6 weeks and figure it all out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wish there was a masterclass for 6 weeks. Like that would be. I think that would sell out immediately. MKBHD retweeted a tweet which was, what is the most what profession do most people want to be, right? And the number one thing was YouTuber/blogger in the US and UK.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That was number one. So I think that a masterclass in SEO, oh my God, that would sell out. Like you have one YouTuber, you might, someone who's a little more knowledgeable and not just like fame based. I would say maybe someone like Casey Neistat. If he does that, I think that would sell out, right? So,
yeah,
but
dude, Jesus,
yeah, you're right. Imagine the revenue on that, right? Oh my God,
Casey Neistat masterclass on clickbait and search engine optimization.
Yeah,
I would pay $200 for that.
What if one of your classes was literally clickbait? Like the title of it was clickbait.
It sounds like it's clickbait in itself, and thus it is compelling.
But is it really but the conundrum is, if it's really talking about clickbait, is it really clickbait? See, I mean, you're talking about, you see, like, I'm not even getting into that.
Too many layers for me, man. My brain's not that powerful.
And we were like, yo, that's not clickbait, but it is clickbait, but it's not. But it, like, it was going back and forth. So I'm not going to get into that. But anyway, how I figured out SEO was research. I mean, not even experimental research, which obviously I used to fine tune it, but more, which it's not a good idea, but reading, I don't know how many hours I spent, but reading articles on articles on articles on articles on all the things that people say do on SEO. And from there, taking what made most logical sense and then looking at what other people did. So, for instance, I would see an article that says, okay, you should definitely make your titles no longer than 70 characters, or have the most important stuff less than 70 characters, because it gets cut off, right? So then what I would do is I would go into YouTube, I would count the characters on YouTube and be like, oh, it's only 70 characters. What this article is saying is making sense. So I wouldn't just trust every article, what they were saying, and be like, oh yeah, that's exactly what they're saying, it has to be true. But I would read it and then look at, okay, what is this person doing? What are the tags that they're using? Is it lining up with the strategy that this article is saying? Mm-hmm. Stuff like that. And then after that, I started using it, like, as I gained more and more. And typically what I thought was right was actually right. So then it wasn't more a trial and error. It was more learning more and just applying it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds like a really thoughtful method of like giving a shit and trying to learn something, because I feel like when most people try to learn something, they're like, oh, I watched an hour of YouTube videos and read 2 things. I feel confident at least enough for me to talk about this thing in any way. And then they say they learn something.
I've talked to people like that, which is crazy. Like, no offense to smaller channels, but I was in Vegas for CES, which is like a tech convention, and I was in the studio, and one of my friends who edits other people's videos, he was editing this video for a guy who has like 7 subscribers, which I'm not trying to show any hate towards smaller channels, because I've met smaller channels. One of my best friends on YouTube, I think he only has 2.5 thousand subscribers. Like, he's like still my boy. Mm-hmm. But like, this guy has 7 subscribers, and he's he's asking me for advice, and I don't really know him like that. Like I've met him like that day, so I don't really know him like that. So I'm just giving him like general advice, like what I say, like love what you do and do what you love type of things. And then he's like, he's talking to me about SEO, like he knows it, but he doesn't. But anything I would say, he's like, yeah, I know that. I'm like, then why are you asking me, man? Like, it's just you apparently know all this tips and tricks. You know all of it. So, people, I agree with you. People think that people look at the YouTube lifestyle and they think it's easy, but there's a lot of work that goes behind it, right? It's like any sort of profession. You learn how to do it. So, I think if you could just search up all these articles, I don't know how many articles I must have read, but I know it's somewhere in the hundreds. So if you read that many articles and you're analyzing about 20 to 30 YouTube channels closely, and you still don't find something, then come back to me and say, I tried whatever I could and I still didn't get it. But if you do all that, I think you'll learn a lot by that point. And not the hour of watching YouTube, not the one video on how do I grow my YouTube channel. Not that video. No, not just that. I hate when people are like, yo, that video taught me everything. I'm like, no.
Step one, make good content. Yeah. At the source of all success on the internet is good content. So if you're not making good content,
what is it's like the number one way to grow your YouTube channel, or this is the way to grow your YouTube channel, and it'll be like
this all caps.
Yeah, and it'll literally be like show the face in the thumbnail. I'm like, oh wow, like someone who if you study a little bit of psychology just for your profession, just a little bit, you might have realized emotion generates interest. Whoop-de-doo, like you know what I'm saying, so there are a lot of people like that, but like I said, like if you read all those articles and look at what other people are doing, you'll find something. So I guess that's a little bit of a tip for anyone listening that's trying to start a YouTube channel. I get a lot of those too. I get a lot of DMs like, can you look at my YouTube channel? And I do for probably about 50% of those, just because, and I'll give them one comment, but just listen to this podcast instead of DMing me, man. That's much easier.
Yeah, that's honestly like a sort of one of the goals I have with this podcast is because, I want to talk about NBA news and stuff like that too. And, eventually I'd like to be able to talk about just like news in general in like the super long term. Of
course.
But in the short term, I feel like there's this gap in the marketplace of internet ideas, right? Where there's plenty of how-tos on doing everything. But I feel like for doing like new media sports stuff, there's not really a lot of instructional videos on, making a high quality basketball video per se.
No. And it's good to be in a niche. Oh, my bad. It's good to be in a niche. That's my chair hitting.
That was a dog barking in the distance.
No! It's my chair hitting my table. It should lower.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, when we started, the cicadas were going off really bad. They've calmed down.
Oh, you see, I turned off my AC. Like I have I don't have a central AC in my apartment, but I have a built-in AC, and I turned it off just so we could get the crisp audio quality.
I appreciate that attention to detail. It's what it takes to make it big in the biz.
Yeah, dude, I know, bro. Because I like, for me, luckily, even though I use Logic Pro to edit my audio, Audacity does a surprisingly good job with all background noise if it's constant. It does an amazing job.
Oh yeah, for sure. You got to know how to properly sample the incorrect audio that you're trying to process.
My go-to is leave like 5-10 seconds in the beginning of just pure silence, like use not speaking, and let it gather in all the background. Leave like 10 seconds and then sample that. If you sample that, it's definitely going to get everything but your voice.
So for newer creators, what do you recommend as far as like when the thoughts come in about worrying about details like the background noise in your videos? Do you think it's more important to pump out like a perfectly polished product in the very beginning, or do you think it's more important to get those initial reps in and just make the content at all in the first place?
So for a smaller creator, I will say this: you'll whatever video you release, you will look back at it in 2 years or even a year or even 6 months and say that was shit. I look at my videos that I did in November, December, and I'll be like, man, that's not that good. Like, compared to what I'm doing now, I'm like, that's not, like, I'm like disgusted with myself. If I look at my video, that first video I released, hell no. I would never recommend that to anyone. Are you kidding me? Like, no. Like, no. If someone told me, yo, I can get you 1 million views in that video, I'm like, no, don't. Seriously, don't. I don't want that. But so I would say, as a smaller creator, do what you can, in those things, like, for example, background noise, do what you can. But if it's not perfect, as long as you're okay with it, just get it out there. The main thing is to get content out there in a comfortable rate for you. As long as you're okay with it, just get it out there. You will improve. As long as you have a passion for it, you will want to improve. But the main thing that I think people hesitate with is, let me get that first video to be perfect. And it's never going to be perfect. So get it out there first, and then, worry about the details later.
Word. So what does the future of your YouTube channel and like your internet content creation career look like for you?
Ooh. So I just came back from VidCon in California.
Awesome.
And I was at a house of a bunch of YouTubers in Anaheim. And then I stayed at a mansion in Hollywood Hills.
Oh yeah.
A lot of business meetings and talks. Right now, what I'm focusing on, apart from the content side of things, is trying to get, I guess, more types of content, like, rather than videos out there for you. So, for instance, I'm thinking of starting like a exclusive podcast where I just talk about basketball, like my opinions on topics on basketball. Because a lot of people ask for that. So doing something like that, trying to get merch out there, because I feel like I'm a little overdue at this point. I should have already had merch, but yeah, getting that out, and then trying to, I guess, not do sponsorships, but more like partnerships with specific brands that can give opportunities, like, for example, maybe fly someone out to a game, or give you guys free gear, stuff like that. I'm talking with this is like hush, but I don't know where this will go, but I can say it. I'm talking with people from right now to see what can be done on those type of fronts. So I don't know where that's going to go, but those are the type of things I'm like kind of directing it towards.
I got you. Well, I'll be sure to bleep out all the classified information there.
You could just say I'm talking with bleep.
Yeah.
I'm talking with bleep to get you guys gear. How about that? Yeah, actually, you know what? I'll do it for you. You can actually add that. Yeah, I'm talking with bleep for all the gear that you guys want.
Perfect.
Hey, less work for you, right?
Absolutely. I'm all about less work for me. Well,
yeah.
MJ, I really appreciate you giving me a little bit of your time, man. This has been a whole lot of fun. Remind the people.
Oh yeah, man, it's a long time overdue. We were talking about this months ago.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad we could finally get around to it. Maybe I could have you on again sometime. We could shoot the shit about some basketball stuff and not the basketball creator stuff when the season gets going.
Oh yeah, dude, I'm down. I mean, I love talking about basketball. I could talk about it like 24/7. I talk about it with my friends all the time, which is, I think it's borderline unhealthy at this point. But I talk about it all the time. Even if I'm talking about a video, like I'm talking about video ideas, I'll talk about it with my friends and even my mom. I'll be like, yo, you know what happened in the NBA? And she'll be like, what? I'll be like, yo, Kawhi Leonard, he went to the Clippers. And she'll be like, what? The Clippers? I'm like, yeah, I know, it sucks. And then he ruined the Lakers, and that's exactly what my video was on. But like, I talk about it all the time, so I'm down.
Yeah, I feel that. My about a year ago or so, my coworkers and friends all mutually gave me the idea of just like, hey man, you talk about basketball so much, why don't you just do that? Like, do that, like, as your thing, like do a podcast and videos or something. I was like, oh wow, that's actually a pretty okay idea.
Find a way to do what you like, and then somehow to make money off of it, right? So I would like the way I go about, like, philosophically with money is that, like, do what you want, be good at it, and then the money will follow, right? So don't try to go for more money, but get what you deserve, if that makes sense, right? So I think
absolutely.
I think so. If you like what you do, then it'll follow, right? It'll eventually follow. So
Right.
yeah, you tell your friends, start a podcast, start a YouTube channel, start something. You could start with some ear pods.
You could be just like my boy Noah, who currently makes all of the videos on his phone.
Jesus, I don't know about that. Like, you could do that. I just think that's just more work. I'm not saying respect to him on the grind, but on a phone, the amount of wow.
Yeah,
wow.
it's a hustle. His videos are not bad at all either. I mean, he's really seemed to have gotten it down.
Hey, props to him for that. I would just say if you can get a laptop just to make it easier. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be better, but just to make it easier, I recommend it. But props to Noah, man, for doing it on the phone.
Yeah. Well, MJ, again, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, man.
Of course, man. Of course. And let me know when you want to talk about basketball. I'm always down.
Most definitely will. Talk soon.